From Toy Story to Turning Red, Pixar has several decades of history-making animation under their belt. Having just released their 25th film, this subset of Walt Disney has a bit of a reputation, both for, of course, creating emotionally evocative bodies of work, but also for slipping sneaky Easter eggs into each of their films. From production design to pop culture and inter-universe references, these details often go unnoticed during a first watch, but by your 10th, you may just be on the right track to clocking these key details from Pixar's greatest films.
No way! I am staying right here until your stupid body dies!
Believe it or not, Toy Story and The Shining have a lot more in common than you'd think. Some would actually say Stephen King's Dr. Sleep is a one-to-one inspiration pull from the events following Toy Story 3.
What do you want me to do about it?
But whether or not Andy possesses the shine, at the very least, we know where Sid's mom gets her carpets. The famous flooring from the Overlook Hotel makes an explicit appearance in Toy Story, thanks to film editor and Toy Story 3 director Lee Unkrich. Unkrich became fascinated with The Shining from a young age, and along with the carpet, which he has production designer Ralph Eggleston to thank, references to The Shining appear throughout the Toy Story franchise. In Toy Story 3, the number of the haunted Overlook room, 237, makes several appearances as a license plate, model number for a security camera, and an instant message username. Additionally, the famous intercom used by one Shelley Duvall can be seen at Sunnyside Daycare, along with the tissue box next to it containing a design directly replicating, you guessed it, the carpet from The Shining. Along with successfully destroying the hearts of their audience with the opening sequence, the Up production team has placed skillful care into the visual design of Carl and Ellie's world. It can be noted that each of their face shapes differ based on their personalities, with free-flowing Ellie getting rounded cheeks, while a more uptight Carl has a square jaw. But the Pixar crew does not stop there. These shapes can also be seen in the set design, with all of Ellie's things, including her lamp, her chair, and picture frames being circular, and Carl's square. Along with individual character designs, Pixar also pays close attention to the movement of time. In the first occurrence of the picnic scene, the skyline behind them is a quaint town. However, by the time Ellie and Carl have reached their final picnic, the background paints a built-up city skyline, showing just how much effort Pixar puts into creating realistic visuals for their films. While Up targets people sensitive to grandparents and childhood love, Onward targets those with father issues. On their quest to bring back their dad for one last day, Ian and Barley end up in the Manticore Tavern. Although they don't stop for anything to eat, the audience gets a momentary glimpse of what is cooking. Or, rather, who is cooking. Yes, your eyes do not deceive. That is a rat in a chef's hat. And since he's making his small rat cooking movements in the background, you may not have seen him the first time round. Is this Remy? We can't know for sure. I suspect, as an accomplished Parisian chef, Remy would have the etiquette to make sure his hat is out of his eyes. But whether or not we believe it could be Remy, a rat in a kitchen holds a lot of narrative power. And considering that many people think that Ian looks like if Linguini and Remy had an unfortunate child, I would say, at minimum, Pixar has done something really special by connecting these two worlds. Speaking of, Ratatouille is a cinematic masterpiece. A talented chef found in a tiny rat's body, roaming the delicious streets of Paris? Perfection. But before Remy can get down to business and make some good grub, he's gotta march through a couple barriers, one of which is being a rat in an anti-rat world. After discovering Remy's chef skills, Linguini attempts to find a way for Remy to be present while he fakes his way through Gusteau's kitchen. And this leads us into an unexpected Pixar moment. When Linguini suggests Remy hides in his pants, you were probably so utterly shocked by the images unfolding before you that you were unable to fully absorb what you were being shown. But if you take a closer look, you will find that Linguini is actually the proud owner of Incredibles boxers. Since both films were directed by Brad Bird, it's no surprise that the famous eye logo would be making an appearance. And does it not just make so much sense that the same world that is so anti-rat would also ban superheroes for over 14 years? Speaking of animals, Pixar loves them, with a good chunk of their films centering around the lives of these furry and sometimes fishy creatures. And while animated films often have the freedom to discard the rules of the real world, Pixar is a stickler for the facts. And let's just say there is some accurate animal representation. Up features our favorite pal Doug, who along with being a good boy, is the only dog in the film who is able to track down the rare tropical bird. This is because Doug, being a golden retriever, is the only hunting dog in the film, while all the others are guard dogs. In Finding Nemo, Gil, the leader of the fish escapist party, is a Moorish idol, which is a species known for not doing well in captivity. Bruce the shark's proclamation that he has never met his father makes a whole lot of sense considering shark fathers leave as soon as they have mated with the mother. And let's not forget our favorite skunk cleaner Shrimp Jacques, who at the end of the film is the only one who has a clean bag. The Incredibles 2 had the potential to disappoint, but after 14 years in production, Pixar was able to successfully deliver a beautifully well-rounded sequel to the classic superhero story. While much of its praise centered around its rich action sequences and loyal yet updated animation style, one of the biggest aspects that makes the sequel so good is its story. Unlike the first film, which focuses on the emotional arc of Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl takes on the role of the main protagonist. As Helen struggles to balance work and home life, Pixar uses all aspects of their production design to convey this inner conflict. When Helen is talking to Bob on the phone after her first successful mission, a painting with 5 red markings can be seen hung above her bed. One paint stroke in particular appears to be more distant from the rest, a detail that represents Helen's movement away from her family and into the spotlight. And although the true identity of the screenslaver has yet to be revealed, this painting foreshadows the struggle Helen will have to navigate while trying to define herself as a super within a super family. Music is a prominent theme in Pixar's soul, and while we all know Jon Batiste was the master behind the dominating jazz numbers such as Born to Play, it may surprise some of you to know that the members of 9 Inch Nails also made an appearance on the soundtrack. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are the musicians behind the electronic score. Even if you were so on top of the Pixar Soul soundtrack, even if you just watch the Oscars, even then, the chances that you would have noticed this little detail are slim to nothing. During one of the many streets of New York scenes, a hardware store can be seen with a sign hanging in its window. At a closer glance, the phrase, "Sale 9 Inch Nails" can be read. Now, considering that 9 Inch Nails are the common length for coffins, and that on a day-to-day basis, it's unlikely a hardware store is going to be having a big sale on funeral supplies, I think we can all agree that this is no coincidence. The Cars cinematic universe is beautifully expansive. Along with 3 major motion pictures, the Cars franchise contains over 10 shorts and an abundance of video game adaptations. And while inter-universe cameos are a Pixar movie staple, there's nothing quite like taking something from another film and turning it into a car. In the Cars short, Tokyo Maters, there's a quick and cute glimpse of our favorite monster pals, Mike and Sully. Packed with horns, sharp teeth, one eye, and a nose, seeing these 2 best friends as anthropomorphic cars is probably one of the most chaotic things to exist in the CCU. In Cars 2, the Ratatouille restaurant Gusteau's makes an appearance as Gusto's, which luckily in this universe has received a 5-star Parisian rating. Cameo selection also extends beyond the world of Pixar, especially as the car friends go international. Tokyo Maters gives a strong shout out to fellow animation studio icon Studio Ghibli. Reimagining the cat bus from My Neighbor Totoro, the moment is only a few seconds long, and it may be easy to miss the famous cat stripes and mischievous grin. A masterpiece at work, Turning Red is a heartfelt story about self-acceptance and the healing of intergenerational mother-daughter relationships. As per usual, the film makes many references to other Pixar films. However, one of the most notable engagements with Pixar's past work is the repeated allusion to the Oscar-winning animated short, Bao, also directed by Turning Red's Domee Shi. Dealing with similar themes of child-parent relationships in Chinese families, Bao tells the story of an aging mother who is coming to terms with her son growing up and moving forward. While the Bao in Turning Red doesn't turn into a baby, it functions as an expression of care between Ming and Mei throughout the narrative. As Ming tries to grapple with her daughter's maturing, she struggles with letting go, despite Mei's desire to be seen as an independently strong person. Bao roughly translates to precious treasure or bundle, which expresses a striking symbol of motherly love in both films. And of course, beyond the deeper meaning, audiences can also catch a glimpse of a storefront sign which reads Bao Restaurant in the same font as the original short film. Although this detail technically doesn't take place within a film, it definitely deserves a shout out for being what fans suspected as, up until recently, a spicy hit against Warner Bros. After being nominated for an Oscar in 2006 for Cars, and subsequently losing that Oscar to Happy Feet, there appeared to be what some fans interpreted as a pushback from Pixar. At the end of their subsequent film, Ratatouille, Pixar placed a quality assurance sign to suggest that unlike films such as Happy Feet, which use motion capture, Pixar animates every single frame. However, in 2020, this rumor was quickly disputed by Ratatouille director Brad Bird, who tweeted that the quality assurance sign was his idea. Bird assured Pixar fans that it was less of a jab towards Happy Feet and more of a response to the general trend towards motion capture in animated films. Having used a frame-by-frame technique in Ratatouille, to this day, Pixar still does not use motion capture and opts for an approach that allows for experimentation and more detail-oriented work. Pixar's attention towards factual accuracy, paired with their soft spot for nostalgia, makes their body of work a sea of unnoticed details. While some are more obvious than others, it may take the average viewer a handful of times before they can truly notice all the love and work Pixar has placed into their first 25 films.